The Situation Room with Wolf Blitzer, weekday afternoons at 5 Eastern on CNN.
They have a corporate criminal culture, and that's what we're dealing with in our investigations.
And you say a corporate criminal culture. What do you mean by that?
Well, that over and over again we were finding evidence of decisions that were being made by management at various levels that resulted in criminal acts, criminal occurrences. So that's how we were able to come up with the label of a criminal corporate culture.
What did happen? Did it receive penalties resulting from your investigation?
Well, they did. The company came to the table. They pled guilty to a misdemeanor through restitution and criminal fines. It amounted to $20 million for the violation in Alaska. And I was told to be happy with that was a big corporate fine. But the fact still remained that the decision makers were not held accountable, and corporations do not make decisions. Individuals within them do, and those are the ones that should be held criminally accountable for these sorts of disasters. Why is this government, in a whole different administration, showing the same sort of protection to this foreign corporation? I just don't get it, and I'd like to have that question answered.
So you think there should be a criminal investigation?
Absolutely. There should have been one from day one, particularly because of the history of this company. Had I been the special agent in charge sitting in Dallas at EPA, when the first moment I heard about that fire, I would have sent a couple of investigators to start nosing around and find out what they could find.
So often in cases like this, we think of BP as this huge corporation, but you were trying to hold the leaders of this company criminally accountable for putting profits before safety, and Tony Hayward is now the company's CEO. Was he part of your investigation a few years back? Well,
I'm not in a position where I can name specific names that we were looking at because nobody was charged with a crime and nobody was convicted. What I can say is that we were developing information that, had we been able to pursue it, would have allowed us to look at some very high and senior members of the corporation, both in the United States and in London.
Was Tony Hayward on that list?
That I can't say.
Mm-hmm. Knowing what you know about Tony Hayward, do you think he should have been promoted to CEO?
Well, again, he's, as far as the stockholders are concerned, he's doing good for the company, so that's their decision.
But knowing what you know and what you learned from your investigation, do you think, would you have put him in that position as the leader of this company?
Well, I certainly would not have, but they didn't ask me.
Why wouldn't you have promoted him?
Well, there's a record there. There's a pattern. I would have looked for someone that may have had nothing to do with the old school, the old ways of doing things. I might have said, look, we've had these crimes, we've had this criminal corporate culture. Tony, you're at the pretty much at the helm as the number 2 guy through all of this, and whether or not you had anything to do with it doesn't really matter. We need to change this culture. We need to change the appearances. Let's find somebody else. That's what I would have decided.
Scott West is no longer working for the government. He now works for a nonprofit environmental group and lives in Seattle. Wolf?
Abby, how does BP respond to all of these allegations?
Well, a spokesperson from BP says since Tony Hayward became CEO, he's focused on safe and reliable operations as the company's #1 priority. In the last 10 years or so, injury rates and the number of spills have reduced by approximately 75%. And he goes on to say that BP has an ombudsman program to receive, investigate, and help resolve concerns and issues raised by employees and contractors. BP continues to implement its operating management, a cornerstone of achieving safe, reliable, and responsible operations at every BP operation.